did receive an email yesterday asking the BIU to act, and this was particularly from the Royal Gazette, asking for us to answer some particular questions as relates to the current issue or dispute between the Bermuda government and ourselves that appears to be out there in social media as well as in the main media. We know that the Minister of Labor has made a statement over the last couple of days. We do know that the Chamber of Commerce also has made a comment, and we did see also a comment from Mr. Mark Deal, lawyer for Marshall Deal and Meyer. Just so that everyone is clear, the BIU did have our special general council meeting on Wednesday. We made some decisions on Wednesday, and the general council gave the executive board some direction. And one of the areas of direction that they gave to the BIU executive board, they asked us to reach out to the government to see if the government was prepared to come back to the table to have a conversation about Section 57. That email was sent to the Deputy Premier, the Honorable Walton Braun, at about 6 o'clock on Wednesday evening. The email response from the deputy came yesterday afternoon at about 1:01. Good afternoon, Mr. Ferbert. Thank you for your message from yesterday evening. I am not in a position to make any undertaking on behalf of the government at this time. We do welcome the opportunity for dialogue to improve the situation that has developed in recent days. The government's position on the 2021 Act remains the same. So the BIU Executive Board, on the instructions from our General Counsel, reached out to the government to do what we can to try to avoid a 2-day shutdown on the 30th and 31st of August. This response was read this morning because the BIU felt the need to have another special general council meeting with our members at 8 o'clock this morning to discuss with them that what you asked us to do on Wednesday, to reach out to the PLP, we actually did it. We done it. And that was the response to your request. The General Counsel now has decided, so I will inform you exactly what the Council has decided to do as of Monday, because I think what we had said to the media, that we were going to have a special General Counsel meeting to discuss on Wednesday, to discuss what the events of Monday and Tuesday was going to look like as it relates to what each division was going to be doing in relationship to a 2-day sit-down. Not general strike, like it's been referred to in the media, like it's been referred to by others. So as of today, the General Counsel would like to inform the media, inform the people of Bermuda, that as of Monday morning at 8 o'clock, we are asking for all our divisions that are not essential services to report here to Union Square 8 o'clock Monday morning. We are also asking for those non-essential service divisions to come back on Tuesday morning at 8 p.m. 8 a.m., sorry, 8 a.m. In addition to that, all the other areas that are essential services, as of Monday, the 30th of August, there will be a 21-day notice of industrial action issued for all those other areas that are essential services that are required by law to give 21-day notice of industrial action. The General Counsel is further suggesting that any of our sister unions that's willing to support us in this 2-day shutdown, they can assist us in whatever they can do to assist. It will be much appreciated. We also invited the general public who want to support the two-day protest to come and support us. But we also advising, please be advised that if you are planning to come to participate in this event, you will be required to wear a mask. So if you made up your mind that you want to come and protest with us and you're not going to wear a mask, you're not going to be allowed to march. We have made an application. We have made a request to the minister to have a protest march on Monday and Tuesday, and we're waiting for that response from the minister. Certainly, this is not a place that we thought, or the BIU thought that we'd be in with a Labour government in 2021. But one thing I think this proves to the media, and it should prove to the people of Bermuda, the BIU stands by what it says in this respect. If our UBP government has doing things that we feel is unfair and unjust to Labour, we will protest. Under no big government, they done things that we felt was fair and unjust, and we protest. When the PLP government was elected in 1998, from 1998 to the time they were voted out of government in 2012, we probably may have had 1 or 2 protests under the PLP government. Dame Jennifer Smith comes to mind on the House of Assembly grounds. So the BIU has stood by what it has said over the years, that it don't matter whether it's a PLP government, or whether it's a UBP government, or UBA government, or PLP government. When the need for us to protest, to protect the rights of our members, and by and large, members of the public who feel impacted by what the government is doing, we will do exactly that. I'll entertain any questions that you might have.
Mr. Philbert, good morning.
Sure.
First question, could you just clarify the non-essential employees who will be attending the protest on Monday morning? Will they be withdrawing their services for the whole day or just for the protest?
There is a 2-day protest. It didn't say for 2 hours on Monday and 2 hours on Tuesday. It's a 2-day protest. So it's all day Monday, all day Tuesday.
Thank you.
That's 2 days.
Sure. And also, you mentioned at the start of this press conference, various organisations have criticised this action. They've also condoned the amendment to the union decertification law that was passed in.
They condoned it? They supported it, Jimmy?
No, sorry. They disapproved of it, of this strike. Don't you think that...
But it's not a strike.
Well, action. Don't you think that if all the other organisations who were involved in consultation with the before the amendment was made, if they all approved of it, can't you just think, well, okay, we disagree with this, but in this instance, we're in the minority, so we'll just...
Who are you referring to?
Well, the BPSU.
That's one.
Bermuda Employers Council, Bermuda Chamber of Commerce, hoteliers.
So let's just be clear. The Labour Advisory Council is made up of course, the government, the minister chairs it. It's made up of employers and unions. There are maybe 10 employers at the LAC, and there are union representatives there. The BIU has 3 reps, other unions have their reps. So when you say the majority, the BPSU, from what I know, it's not a majority of all the unions that are now saying that they're not in support of Section 57 now. It will be interesting because the last time we were here at a joint press statement, maybe a joint press conference a month or so ago, the General Secretary of the TEC sat right on my right-hand side. And he made it crystal clear to the media that the majority of the Bermuda Trade Union Congress was supporting the union on this issue of Section 57. Yeah, we got it. The letter we gave to the Premier is in 2 parts now, because we're asking for, Section 57, but we're also talking about the Premier and the Minister. Let's set that aside for a minute. Mr. Jackson made it clear. On this issue of decertification under Section 57, the majority of the unions are supporting the BIU on this issue. So I don't know where you're getting your information from. That's the majority.
Okay, but Mr. Jackson this week also said that although there was some support, or perhaps even majority support for this action, he hoped that there could be further dialogue to prevent any protests going ahead. And also,
and so do we, sir.
You said that the Deputy Premier, in his reply to you, again offered a chance for further discussion. Why didn't you accept that opportunity?
Did you hear what I read, sir? The BIU wrote to the Deputy Premier asking for us to sit down and have a conversation, dialogue about Section 57. He wrote back and said that he is not in a position right now. I am not in a position to make any undertaking on behalf of the government at this time. So it's telling us I cannot come to have a meeting with you to discuss Section 57. We made the request for a meeting.
Sure.
They're saying they're not coming.
And one final question, Mr. Philip. What do you hope to achieve by this? Do you think you really can persuade government to
What
change
do
it?
I hope to achieve? Who's I?
BIU.
Well, let's make sure you use the word BIU. Because the media, you have your reasons for doing what you're doing, and we understand from the BIU perspective, we understand why you do what you do. But let's just be crystal clear. I've said it to the media before, I'll continue to say it. You just heard me mention that we had a special General Council meeting on Wednesday. We had another special General Council meeting today. I said to you, this is the decision of the General Council. Not the decision of Chris Fairbank. Well, right now, it appears like the target's on my back for whatever reason as the president, and I understand that because I'm the leader. I got that. But this organization has functioned from the position of we have an executive board. The executive board answers to the General Council, and before we make any decisions, every decision that has been made in the last 15 years while I've been president, it's to the executive board, to the General Council, to the public, or to our members. That's the way this process works.
Thank you. What do you hope to achieve?
What do we hope to achieve?
Yeah.
Well, let's think about what we hope to achieve. I want you to just digress for a moment. The minister continues to say that this Section 57.1 has not changed from 1998 the way it was back then. So 21 years, it remained the same. Well, if it was our intentions, and I can tell you this from the BIU, if it was going to be intentions not to change any of what was in the 1998 Act, the BIU wouldn't even went to the table to have any discussion about any changes. In 2015, when the Bermuda, the ABA decided to look at consolidating all these acts. So contrary to what the minister says, even though it might have been this way for 20-something years, in 2015, the LAC was having a conversation about the consolidation of the acts. We were having a conversation about Section 30P and decertification. We were having a conversation. So it's the current government right now that's decided to leave it the way it is. The current government has decided to leave the act the way it is. So to say that it's been that way for 21 years, it's like saying, well, slavery was abolished in 1834. So are we going back to slavery now? If the powers that be, if all the people that were interested in getting slavery abolished hadn't taken up that mantle to abolish slavery would it still be in place today? So the government can't have KK82 to say, well, this is the way it was in 1998. While leaving it alone in 2021, we don't want to change it. But if in 1998 it was put in place by the United Bermuda Party to now put another, for lack of a better word, something against labor, why would a progressive Labor Party now why would they want to continue with that? Why? You are supposed to be a progressive Labor Party government. We expect not no favorable treatment, but to look at the act to see whether it's being fair and reasonable in its current context. And if it's not, don't just refer to it as 1998 and it's now the same in 2021. And they'll say, well, we can't change it because we think it's going to take away some of the rights under the Constitution. We haven't seen the legal opinion as to how it's going to violate the constitutional rights. If you got a legal opinion, why don't you share it to the public? Share that legal opinion so we can see exactly why the government's standing where they're standing on this issue. So what we're going to entail, we think that we don't think we're being unreasonable. We think we've got a fair and reasonable request putting on the table that would allow the government to kind of like, let me explain it this way. Where both parties have a win-win. What does that mean? Well, the government says they would, based on our legal advice, the act, as of June 1st, is saying that non-unionized workers in a bargaining unit has a right to vote in a ballot for decertification. Okay? In 1998, the BIU said, if you're going to give us 100% to dues, you're not going to get a right to vote. You give us 50% to dues, you're not going to have a right to vote, because we don't think that a non-union member should have a right to vote in a ballot for decertification. Now, in 2021, as of June 7, the union is saying, you give the union 100% contribution, you can have a right to vote. The BIU's position has changed. The government's position is still stuck on a legal opinion. If that employer is taking money out of that employee's pay, who is not a member of the union, and you're sending $750 to the BIU and $750 to charity, because they're taking the money out, you have to give them a right to vote. No other organization will you pay half. And you'll see, because we'll hand out a flyer so you can see, it's got some interesting information in it. Where you're paying 50%, you got a right to vote. Here's what's coming next. We have gas workers, sir, who's on work permits and a number of other things, and people have been there for 10, 15 years. Some people probably been there for 30. They don't have a right to vote, you know. They can't vote. They pay taxes. They get stuff, payroll tax taken out of their paychecks. All of this goes on, but they don't have a right to vote. What's the difference? What is the difference? That's law. Law meaning it's law that you got to pay your taxes. Law meaning you're not got to pay 50%. So if you're paying 50%, how come you're saying I got to guarantee you have a right to vote? You know, and the government is only looking at it from one angle. They want to be fair and reasonable to the organized. But if you're being fair and reasonable to the organized, to the unorganized, what are you doing to the organized as a Labour Party? Any further questions?
Yes, Mr. President.
Yes, Mr. Trott.
You would have seen the Premier's letter in response to you this week to the BIU.
Yes.
In which he made a serious contention, which is that this is all about the internal politics of the PLP instead of the issue at hand. I want you to respond to that.
Well, Mr. Trott, I can tell you that whilst the BIU president, he is a life member of the PLP, and a lot of our other members are members of the PLP. What I was going on within the PLP internally about this issue, it has absolutely nothing to do with the BIU. It's almost implying that there are certain members in the PLP who's come to the BIU and asked the BIU to do A or B. In order for it to be some internal politics, the BIU we don't have a vote in caucus, we don't have a vote at the Central Committee, so how does it come internal? Maybe what you should ask the Premier to do is to explain why he says it's internal. Because just to say it without giving an explanation, is that really fair to the BIU now for me to now to explain what's happening to the PLP internally? I'm not involved with the PLP internally, so maybe he should explain that.
I want you to also respond to the fact that the statement put out by the BPSU, your sister union,
Yes.
which basically expressed support for this legislation and said that there are other ways to safeguard the rights of workers when it comes to certification and decertification.
Yeah. Well, certainly, anything that the BIU does, we stand on principle. When you have the Minister of Labor, who is a former trade unionist, former leader of the second largest union in Bermuda, and the Labour Party if the minister cannot be held accountable, and this don't just go for the current minister, it goes for any minister of labor. But right now, since we're dealing with this current minister, if the current minister of labor, and this is where I feel everything is being lost, because everything now is around Section 57, the BIU in this position. Let's go back. And I'm going to keep reminding everyone to people finally get it. Where did this all begin? Of course, it didn't start from nowhere, you know. Where did it start? Started from the week of December the 8th or 7th, whatever that Monday was. That's when it started. Why? When the BIU received a telephone call from the BPSU, the minister's taking this bill to the House of Assembly, Brother Chris, on Friday. We need to know if you're willing to have a conversation with us about, because we're opposed to it, because he promised to get back to the BPSU and the BIU on the bill before it went to the House of Assembly. And for whatever reason, the country right now, and the PLP government, and the PLP itself as a party, is now forgotten all about that. Why? Why? It's almost like it's not all a cover-up. We're covering up what the minister done in 2020 by not getting back to the unions right now and focusing on all this other stuff right there. Where is this accountability? Where is it? Where? So think about it. If the BPSU is saying, well, we're satisfied with what was going on, the BIU is standing on principle, because if we're not going to hold the minister accountable and responsible for not getting back to us when he says get back to us on an important issue like this, where's the trust? So think about it. The BPSU has said what they need to say, and to be fair, you know, I would assume, excuse me for assuming, that the president of the BPSU said what he said. He said it on behalf of his members. I can only assume that. Why? Because that's what it says. I'm here speaking after I just met with our general counsel. Let me just remind you, because we always speak about how history repeats itself. We always speak about how history repeats itself. In 1981, when we had the general strike, we had different organizers in the union that had that task to go and talk to various unions about what was going on, and they're looking to see if they're going to support us. And so for those of you who are old enough, in 1981, the last union that came out to support 1981 was the BPSU. The last union. And they only came out when the march started from Union Square, got all the way around Cedar Avenue. When we was coming on Cedar Avenue, they're having a meeting. And they came out. They had no choice there. Why? The country was out. So they came out at the 11th or 12th hour. So am I surprised now that they're taking that? I'm not surprised. And that's why we said it. Over asking whether they can support us in this 2 day. We understand they're not going to drop tools for 2 days. We got that. But whatever support you can give us, but to say that you're not support, my understanding from the president of BPSU says, whilst we're backed off at this point in time, this is what he said in the 21st of May, was that whilst we're backed away from this issue because we was unable to convince the government, they still believe that Section 57 needs to be changed. That's what he said. Now, his position now is completely changed, that he's not even willing to make any amendments to it. Now, that's on them. But we can't simply say that because the BPSU wants to take the decision that they're taking, that we should follow them, or they should follow us. We're following what's right, in respect that a non-union member who is paying 50, and this is the main issue, whether people want to get it or not, the main issue is that worker in a bargaining unit who is only paying 50% getting a right to vote in a ballot for decertification. That's as simple as I can make it. Because the union is giving that person who's giving us 100% contribution a right to vote. So now that's off the table. So that's the issue right now. And that's where I think the government finds itself to say, you know what? Let's stand firm on that position. 100% contribution or 50%, Mr. Fabric, BIU, they have to have a right to vote. That's our legal position, and that's where we're standing.
Thank you.
Sure.
Mr. Fabric, just one question.
Sure.
The union has stated that essential services will take place on Monday and Tuesday.
Yes.
So like for the general public, what services can they expect on Monday and Tuesday, and what services can they not expect?
All these services that would normally happen, according to, I think it's Schedule 3 or Schedule 4, they'll move it around because it's not under the new 2021 Act. All those areas that are essential, like hospital, certain parts of marine ports, certain parts of the docks, make sure the trash is picked up, all those essential services that relates to the schedule of the Act will be done in accordance with what the law states.
Thank you.
And if the law don't state it, then my members have a right to come out for 2 days because I'm not breaking any law. Any further questions? Thank you. Oh, Fly,
Here.
oh, cool. Thank you.